Hello, thanks for joining. So today we're going to look at some new features coming in Tricorn 8.3, and we'll start with parts and materials. So I'll open the parts page, bear with, please work, and we'll start by looking at inadvertently showing you a feature I was going to show you later. We'll start by looking at one of these bolts, and the main reason for showing you this page is to show you that you can now set a image against your parts and materials. Not a massive picture, you can't zoom in, but enough to help you identify the part. And as we scroll through items, you should see that image updating. And if I go into the search, we'll search for bolt. And you can see also that we have, I don't know why I'm pointing over there, that's not going to help you at all. We can see now that we can have a picture of the part in the search screen as well. So when you're scrolling through your parts to find the item you want, you get a little preview of that item. This was much easier in practice. Let's go and search also for PC 800 part. Now look at it here, we can see we've got 4 versions of this part, and I can just zoom to each version and see a picture of each version of that part in history. Oh yeah, one more thing I wanted to show you in here was that that part, anybody? That image can also be a drawing. So again, it's only an image file, not hugely detailed, but enough hopefully to help you identify that item. These images on parts you can print on the job card if you wish, just to give a bit more information out to the shop floor. And we'll look at materials also. And we'll search for a bar. Doesn't normally take me very long. And scroll through those, see my images updating. And I just want to show you how easy it is to set them up. So assuming you can get images on your supplier's websites, or you're taking images yourself, I'm just going to show you how easy it is to set. So with snipping tool in Windows, I'm just going to grab a little snapshot of that bar. And I'm going to go to this empty pane in Tricorn, right click and paste. And there's my image against that material. And voila. Hoping to add this image into goods inwards as well to sort of try and help and purchasing to help identify the item you're booking in against the part you've got in front of you. That will come along in a bit. So elsewhere in materials, we've made changes to specifications. This has traditionally been just a text field, but you can now predefine all these values. I've got quite a lot imported in here, just to help you with, consistency, accuracy, searching. You can set them up in this table here. And against each one, you can set whether they are valid on materials and or parts. And there's also a density value, which we're not doing a huge amount with yet, but I'm hoping to introduce a means of automatically calculating the weight of items based on their density. All right. So let's just flip back to parts a second. Bear with me. Right. So searching for parts, I'm looking for to show you the non-stock parts feature that's in 8.3. So I'm searching for parts beginning GL, and I've got a stocked item checkbox here, which I can set to not stock parts and search. And I've found these non-stock glove items that I've defined. I can browse through them. I've got large, medium, and small, which is Paul's gloves there. He loves them. And I'll select the large ones actually to work with. Bear with me. On the stock tab, you can see this is basically the checkbox that defines whether something is stocked or not. And you'll see that there's no manual entry option on stock because we don't keep stock of it. But we do, because it's a proper part, you can set a usual supplier for it. You can have supplier associations for it. You can have a default location for where you put it when you book it in, default prices and costs, and so on. If I just go to the POs tab and we'll look at a PO for it, and we're going to book this PO in. You see there's 5 outstanding at the moment on this PO. When I go to book in this line, you'll see we're booking in 5, but 0 are going to end up in stock, and I can't override that because basically it's a non-stock part, destination non-stock, but everything else can be recorded. So just like any other part material, you can record batch numbers, you can put things in a location, and so on. Much easier, I think, and a nicer way of dealing with non-stock items than using the other type line on purchasing, which is quite limiting. This way you can predefine things that you buy regularly easily. I'll put that line in. And like I say, benefits include when you book lines in, you have got history of that stock against the stock record, although the stock batches are 0, but you've got the batch history and so on. I am going to move on from parts and materials unless there are any questions, Paul.
Yeah, I think someone's just about to type a question, so 1 second.
Make it an easy one.
Well, Richard's written hi, but I don't know if he's just saying hello or he's got a question to ask. So you can carry on, and if
Hi,
Richard
Richard.
asks a question, we'll move on to the next section.
Okay. All right, let's close these windows down for now. So we'll go into, oh, we won't close that. We'll go into works orders, I think. My machine's on the go slow today. Right. So first thing to note in here is the status box here, which used to be a drop-down list, and has changed now just to a colored panel, which you can click on and pick from a little pop-up menu. So kind of same process as the drop-down list, but this avoids some of the issues we've had before with accidental status changes. You know, people scrolling over and it accidentally changing, or mouse wheel can suddenly activate and change the status of a job, which means it disappears from order lists and stuff. So pop-up menu, we give it a little color to help indicate the status, and then obviously in all the searches and lists you see that panel, so you can quickly see what the status of a job is. I've not got a template option on there, so you can't change a job to a template by default. We don't recommend you use it that way. We recommend you always copy a job to a template if you want to do it again. There is a hidden setup option if you need to go back. If you really want to change a job to a template, but like I say, I don't think that any of the team here would recommend that approach. Especially if you change a job to a template, you've no longer got a job for history. So one other thing to show just on this tab is that the delivery date here we can see is 17th of the 6th, 2025. If I just put the mouse over that, you get a little hint to say the original date was 25th of the 6th. So obviously there's been a change to the delivery requirement date on this job. Tricorn logs all delivery date changes, and you can print on your order acknowledgement and your job card the original date and the current date. Maybe you want to keep that record because if your customers bring your work forward, it makes it quite difficult to deliver on time sometimes. Every change is logged, and I'm hoping that in the next update to be able to just give you a little button here you can click to see all of the iterative changes of that date, who changed them, when. But it is all in the system. So the other obvious difference here is this new tab, P09099, which is the customer order number. So here we have an overview of the customer order, which consists of 3 lines and shows us for each item the job number, what we're making, how many, values, statuses, and dates and things. You also get grand totals, there are 3 lines, and grand totals of the values here. So I think previously to get the total value of a job you would have had to probably print an order acknowledgement, whereas now you can see that all in one place. You can reorder these lines if you've created them in the wrong order and you want them to match the customer's order exactly, just by dragging and dropping here. And you've also got options to move up and renumber and things right there. Nice overview of customer order that we've not had in the system before. So I think that's a useful thing. You can right click on things like the delivery date. You can right click and change. So let's say I'm going to move it in from the 17th to the 16th because customer wants it a bit early. Click OK. Because I've changed it on one, it's going to offer me to change them on the rest as well. So I don't need to change each line individually. I can just move them all in one go. And that change will be logged in the system as well. Plus button here to add another line to this customer order. And when I do that, obviously it will default the customer, it will default the customer order, increment the order line, and the delivery date from the previous line that it had, I think. So if I just put a dummy part in there. Actually, no, I won't do that. I'll search for one. Bear with. Something else to highlight, which I wasn't going to, but it seems daft not to now. I haven't got a specific template for this part to make, but I have got some predefined generic templates. So you can set up a template routing, where you set up multiple template routings, maybe with your typical routes that you use, things you do regularly, or it could be an overall routing with lots of work centers on, lots of ops on. And you can create your job with that. You're still making the part that you want to make, but it will just give you a default routing. And you can then obviously delete things you don't want or rearrange it as required. Saves you a lot of manual entry of ops if you can predefine these things, and obviously saves you defining a specific template for absolutely every part that you ever make. Oh no, just pretend you didn't see that. I'll show you that later. Awesome. Also on here, print button, just easy to print the customer order in one go. And as the order progresses, as you start completing jobs, you have options here to deliver the entire order in one click, and also invoice in one click. So you don't have to kind of raise a delivery note and then search for your batches and pick them up one by one from different jobs or re-enter anything. Pretty much one click to deliver and one click to invoice if you so wish. Hopefully saves a bit of admin time. And one last thing on works orders, we'll look at this order type code picker. So when Tricorn raises works orders, it gives it a code in the background. So you say, oh, I want to make for stock, or I want to sell stock, or I want to make for a customer. It all has an individual background code. And as we put more features in, we've got more and more codes, but there's been no easy way to filter on it. So now we have this drop down list. So you can see that earlier on I went to search for rework and rebuild jobs. I can pick those from the list, and we'll go in the past year. And there are all of my rework, rebuild jobs in one nice, tidy list. Yeah, a much nicer way for searching and locating, and also for reporting and things. And I think I'm going to move on to another area unless there are any questions on.
There is a question here for you, John. Well, there's a couple. Firstly, Julie's asked, can you print out a report showing the delivery dates per order that are outstanding?
Delivery dates per order that are outstanding?
Yeah.
Orders that don't have delivery dates? Is that the question? Sorry. Hi, Julie.
It's just retyping or typing.
The answer is probably yes. We can build anything in the dashboard and give you a list of those sorts of things. Yeah. And the great thing about doing them as dashboard widgets is you can then jump to the job if you need to go and amend anything.
I'm just typing at the moment. And the other question, which I know, so Julie said, no, I would like to see all POs and their delivery dates in one report.
Yeah, I think so. I think we could definitely build you a report. Perhaps after this, you could send in maybe details of the columns and things that you want to see on the report. And one of the guys in the help desk will be able to create a report, I think. But send us the details and we'll work with you to get that created.
Yeah, that should be doable then, Julie. And
cheers, Julie.
The other question from Julie is, which I'm sure a lot of people on the call will be asking anyway after this, is when is 8.3 going to be available to be installed?
So these features are going to be released. There's actually no set date for 8.3 yet officially to be generally available, but I'm looking to find some nice, friendly, helpful customers to help me test some of these new features and have it, pretty much imminently. So if you don't mind volunteering to help, I'll get in touch and we'll get you updated and you can try these things out. Most of the things here that you're seeing are actually, I'm sort of running Tricorn 8.2, but I've enabled these features. I don't know why I'm pointing over there. I keep doing that. I've enabled these features and switched them on, so I can do that essentially on your current systems to say, oh, you want to use customer order or you want to use this. So get in touch.
Yeah, perhaps, Laura, we could add a question to the survey we sent out afterwards that says, would you be interested in testing some of the new functionality for us? If we can't do that, then by all means, just get in touch with us and we'll arrange that.
It'll be, I mean, my hope is that it will be released later in the summer anyway, so that everyone will get it after some kind, helpful people have assisted with testing and feeding back and giving us more ideas and stuff like that, which we always appreciate.
Yeah. No more questions, John, so carry on.
So thought I'd completely finished then. Well, there's more. Is everyone still awake out there? Wave in the chat.
I'm sure
So let's look at suppliers. We're going to a supplier. So we've got the supplier here. Made a little change here. The supplier of field, which is a text field, you can kind of enter a few notes about what this supplier does for you. But we've enhanced it now to allow you to create this as a checkbox, so you can tick the types of things that they do for you. We recommend this is fairly generic and not super detailed, but also to include some specific items that you think that there were only a few suppliers that can help you with this. So in this case, I'm going to say they can do kryptonite, steel, and carbon for me. And the reason for that is if I go to materials, so the other reason for keeping it fairly generic is there is a limit on that field size, so you're not going to be able to write War and Peace in there. So if I search for kryptonite here, bear with, I've gone off my list, and we'll look at RFQs for kryptonite, and we're going to create a new RFQ. And we can see that currently we have no suppliers for kryptonite because we haven't bought it before and we haven't created associations with our suppliers yet. If I look for a supplier, I can now drop down over here and say I'm looking for a kryptonite supplier, and it will list then those suppliers that can supply this for me, that based on that supplying field that we just ticked for Lex Mining Co. And I can select them all and add them to an RFQ. And we'll also add super manufacturing as well, because maybe they do. So we're going to raise an RFQ for this material, and I might just add a couple more on. There we've got a few items we're going to send off this RFQ for. Now, getting some responses back in. ALCO sent their responses in. It's going to be 50 quid. And a change we made here is to let you put in a quote reference. So this is the reference from your supplier when they gave you the quote. And this is useful because you can then, if you accept this quote, that reference can then make it onto the PO. So then you've got a reference to their quote to put on your PO to your supplier. That's a request we've had in from several customers. So hopefully that will prove useful. I'll put in a few more quotes. few more responses. There's no way ALCO are doing kryptonite for 50 quid. Bear with me. Right, that's probably enough for now. So we've started getting our responses in there. Super manufacturing declined to quote for kryptonite. And you'll notice, or you probably did notice, that as you fill in your prices from your suppliers, you get a total at the bottom. So if I accepted Luther Corp's quote in total, each of the parts that they quote for, that's my total I'd be paying them. And similarly, if I say, okay, I do want to use Lex Mining Co for kryptonite, and I want to use ALCO for this material, we'll give you a total of your favorite quotes so far down here. So you get a good idea of what the totals are going to be when you go on and accept this RFQ. Notice also we'll include the delivery charges in these totals as well. So again, we've had similar requests from customers on that. And that's RFQ's been quite a popular module since we launched it, and we've built on it largely from feedback from you guys. So keep the positive feedback and the good ideas coming in, and we'll keep building it. We'll bin RFQ for now. Right, one more thing to look at in 8.3 is on customers. So we have these tabs on here to show you history for your customer, also on suppliers, also on materials and parts. And we've overhauled these now so that you can do a lot more with them. And firstly, every one of these lists, so in this case, previous customer quotes, can be sorted now, whereas before they were just completely static. You've got user filters, including date ranges, and you can also search for particular items in the list and filter it that way. Also, every time you see one of these grids, you can right click and export to Excel, which you've never been able to do before as well. So trying to make it much easier to find and filter your data within the system itself, and if you want, get it out to Excel. We'll also let you, again, in all of these lists, set the rows to double height, which just helps if you've got long descriptions and you can have them wrapping over in the cell there. On works orders, same sort of thing. And there obviously we can see the theme statuses that we were talking about earlier on works orders and quotes. And I think you've all had enough of this sort of stuff for now, but I've got more things to show you. I'll move on if you've got any, unless you've got any questions about that.
No questions at the moment, John, so we can move on.
Thank you. So we've got some other new functionality coming. Some of these things are that might have a price against, but these are new features that will be shortly available. So the first one we're going to talk about is CBAM, Carbon Border Adjustment mechanism, which I had to Google. It's not a very exciting subject, and I'm no CBAM expert, but essentially what my customers are telling me is that there is a lot of reporting to be done, and it's quite difficult to collate all the data and very time consuming. So we've made some changes in Tricorn to try and help get the right data into the system in order to report on it, and then to save a whole lot of admin time doing the reporting. So this is for EU CBAM, which goes live in 2026, but there's a UK CBAM in 2027. I'm hoping that's going to be compatible with the EU work we've done, but we'll see. So a few changes around the system. We can set commodity codes on materials now, which we couldn't before. We only did it on parts before because that's the items you're exporting, but now we need to know codes for things that you're importing. Against deliveries and things, you set now a country of origin when you book stuff in, because we need to know, or the reporting needs to know, the original source of these materials. So not just the country your supplier is at, it's the country they got the goods that they supplied to you. And we've added a country of origin also to, actually I'm just going to show you that on purchase orders. So we'll just have a look at that goods in. But beyond booking things in and marking the country of origin there, so we'll just we'll look at it on here. Don't know what I'm doing. So against this delivery, we've got a country of origin of UK, but you can drop that down and choose the country that the goods came from. On works orders, we've put a country of origin on the delivery batch. The idea is that if you imported materials from China, say, did enough processing on it to make something else out of it, that's usually enough to change the country of origin of your goods to the UK. But if you're just sort of buying stuff and selling it, the country of origin needs to follow when you sell it again. I told you this wasn't very exciting. Another thing that we've done is set up CBAM categories. So these have been added as an extension of the commodity codes. So if I just have a little look in setup and options, deliveries, commodity codes, we'll see that against the commodity codes I've got set up, we also have this CBAM category. Now these categories are the ones that have been released as part of the CBAM project in the EU. I imagine they'll add more, but these are the things they want to focus on initially. So we'll pre-populate that list, but as more are introduced, you can just create new categories here and apply them to your com codes. Now the output, so once you've put all that data in, or just keep filling in your country of origin, keep filling in your weights against parts, which I've failed to mention to you, but parts of materials will have a weight. We can then do some calculations to work out the weight of each different material and the weight of each different CBAM category that you imported and exported and where from, and start producing these reports for you. So these reports are sort of work in progress at the moment. We're working with a customer to define these, and then the idea is basically that they'll be able to, look at the last month, create a report like this, right click and export it to Excel, and then that their work is done and they can forward it on to whoever needs to process it. So they're saying this is going to save them, I think hours and hours and hours of work every week. So yeah, if you get in a situation where you need to do this we can help you out with this. Any easy questions on CBAM? There are lots of consultants out there that will help you.
Elizabeth has asked, will it work on assemblies?
The answer to that is I don't know. Yes, it will. Is the answer I should have given you. That might need a bit of consideration. The work we're doing at the moment for this particular customer is non-assembly work, I believe. I think, you know, essentially it will work because you're buying components for each level, and that's fine. You're recording your COO. When those components are used on a sub-assembly or on the top level, that's when we're sort of snapshotting that an item got used and this is its country of origin, and we can report on that. So these purchases used will be collected at that stage. And then when you deliver, if you're delivering the top level product, you can set the country of origin of that. Actually, it will default to UK, and presumably it will be the UK. And if you also need to deliver sort of kits like sub-assemblies, they can have individual country of origins, but I think they'd all become UK based on the current rules anyway. I hope that sort of answers, but happy to chat this through.
So we're just typing. Thanks. I
look forward to Ben. Sorry.
That's right. Yeah, Ben was here, but he's just had to drop off. But Elizabeth says thank you. She looks forward to getting it.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Right, let's close some windows down. There's far too much going on, and we'll look at supplier invoices, I think. Which Ant spotted earlier on, and I just said it was a fake button. It was a lie. Let's go to purchasing, actually, to start with. So we're going to look at PO, and we're going to raise a supplier invoice for it. We booked in all those items on this PO. There's now a new invoices tab there where we see any invoices against this particular PO. And I'm going to click new invoice, and we're going to go ahead and create a new invoice for this PO. I've got an invoice number of no, I haven't. And it's due in 2 weeks. Now I've got it set up on my system to automatically enter the values for the PO. That's sort of for lazy demonstrating, really. I'd recommend that you don't do that, and because what you need to put in here is the value that's actually shown on the invoice that you get, not necessarily the value you're expecting. But you can have it default like that, and then just double check that the tax amount and the total in here are what you're getting on your invoice. We've got some options here to automatically create the invoice lines when we raise them, and we'll tick to say it's based on just delivered items only. So we're only expected to be invoiced on things that we've had delivered so far. So I'll click OK. And I'll generate my invoice. And we should see our lines, and they should match your lines on your invoice you got from your supplier. We'll give you a few totals. And you can double click a line to see the detail on it and just make sure everything's matching. What you're kind of looking for is, you know, to ensure that you've not been invoiced for something that hasn't been delivered, or you've not been invoiced at a different price to what you were expecting. So we'll do that kind of check as part of this. So in this case, this is a perfect invoice. It all looks good. And what I'm going to do is set the status to accepted, which means I'm ready. You know, I'm happy with that invoice. And I can then export that to my accounts package. So what I'm going to do is just click on the Sage button here. This is going to give me all of the invoices that are ready to go, but in this case, I've only got just the one of them to send out. And I can click export, generate me a CSV output, and import that into Sage. Now, I'm going to delete that invoice and just show you a different example. So back on this PO, what I'm going to do is I'll keep doing that. On this delivery, oh, bear with me. I am going to reject one line, one item. So at some point I've created a reject, and then later I'm going to come in and go to raise my invoice, and we'll do exactly the same thing. Did I go? Did you lose me then? This is just to show you that there could be a problem with this invoice. You might not want to pay it straight away because there are quality warnings against it. And you can click on that warning and it will take you straight to the related PO and show you quality issues on that PO. So most of these warnings have some kind of interaction when you click on them. So you can have a warning there for quality, or it could be that there's an under delivery or a price mismatch. I think I've got an example. I did. An example with a price mismatch on it. So on this one, I handily raised earlier, we get this warning that the invoice total doesn't match the total of PO items. So basically, when you look at the detail, you can see that the unit price on the invoice was £11, but the unit price on the PO was £10. There. Couldn't see it. And we'll kind of highlight things as you hover on these warnings. So in this case, obviously there's a discrepancy, and you're going to want to be getting in touch with your supplier to try and avoid being, you know, overcharged for these parts. If ultimately the price you put on your PO was wrong and you accept that this is the right one, we'll give you an option, if you click on the warning, to apply the invoice prices to PO. So you'll kind of correct the PO based on the price you were charged on the invoice. And we can do that, and also update the defaults. So if this for the supplier of this glove, if that default supplier is HDS, we'll default the price next time that you raise it as well. I didn't explain that very well, but I hope that sort of made some sense. It's a nice way of feeding back price corrections into the system to help you the next time you raise an order. So yeah, so there's a problem there, and there's a problem obviously with the quality issue on the other one. But I hope in the vast majority of cases, it will actually be just a few clicks to create your invoice and export it to accounts, because things generally are right. And it'll be just a smooth process. Benefits, of course, obviously, improved accuracy. You don't have to type anything manual into your accounts package or anything. It comes straight from your PO. Obviously, you can check discrepancies, saves time, and it keeps a record as well. It's an audit of this invoice in your system, and that matches the invoice in your accounts package.
Quick question, John. Does the price update to the bulk update templates?
Not yet, I don't think. If it does do it, it will apply where you've got that supplier. I've got a feeling I might have done that now, actually, because where you've got that supplier on the template, then that price is valid for them. But if it's a different supplier, this price is not valid for that supplier, so we can't update templates for a different supplier. I will look at that, Julie, and come back to you. That's from Elizabeth. No, sorry, Elizabeth. Sorry, and we'll come back to you. Is that something you want it to do? I'm assuming you do. It's a good idea.
Looks good though, John. Feedback from internal. It's what I do every time the price changes. So yeah, probably is something they'd want to do.
Right. Yeah. So if we implement that here, I can't remember whether I put it behind that checkbox, but maybe we'll put another checkbox there to let you bulk update your templates also. And then that will save forgetting and make it much quicker and faster and more convenient. Thanks, Elizabeth. Righty, I'm going to move on to another little feature. If there are no other questions coming in.
No more questions.
Let's jump back into customers and we'll search for my friends. Cornish Automotive. And you'll notice in here we've got a Sage 50 tab against this customer. In fact, against all customers. So I've clicked on that and we just get a little summary of the current situation with this customer. We can see the credit limit we have set with them. You can see that's grayed out on the customer record. That's because we are treating Sage as the master for this. So that 2,500 is coming from Sage into Tricorn. We've got the value of uninvoiced batches. That's basically your works orders that you've got that are in the system right now. There's a value against them you're committed. There's a value of unposted invoices you've raised but you're not posted to Sage yet. We haven't got any in there at the moment. But we've also got £900 owed as set in Sage. Invoices you've already transferred to Sage from Tricorn. So they've come out of here, landed in there. And with that, we get an overall balance shown here. And obviously comparing that with the credit limit, we've got the remaining credit. This is the only place that you can see the the true picture of your situation with this customer. Obviously, you can look in accounts, but you'll only see that number. So your accounts can see that number. And in Tricorn, maybe with some reporting and things, you'd be able to get the other numbers, but you wouldn't be able to see the Sage number. So here we combine all the information together so you can see the absolute situation with this customer at the moment is that they're 625 quid in credit. Now I go to my works orders tab and I'll raise a new works order for them. And I'm going to just raise it for the old ABC part. And I'm going to put a value of 1,000 quid on there. And okay it. And what it'll do at that point is go and just double check that balance again, because I've just said I want to add £1,000 worth of jobs on here. So taking the same numbers but adding an additional 1,000 quid, that will leave them over their credit limit at this point. And I don't really want to then be committing to this work. I probably want to be phoning them up and saying, can you pay me something? So at this point, the system can block you, so you basically can't proceed. There's a setup option on there that does let you just show the warning and proceed at your own risk, if you like. But this is a nice way of highlighting a problem that it would be easy not to know about. You know, maybe your accounts team know that this customer owes you a lot of money, but your sales team don't, and they're accepting orders, and then suddenly you realize that you've committed all this money and they're not paying you. So this is the idea, obviously, is to stop that customer racking up that level of debt. We'll say we won't proceed. And with that information, obviously, not everyone's got Sage on their systems. You probably don't let everyone in the company use Sage. But we have options in there for the Sage person to retrieve balances for all customers in one hit. We've got options in there for that to happen automatically when your accounts person who has Sage logs into Tricorn. It can go and every day, maybe just go and refresh all those balances for you so that other members of the team can see those numbers. And on here, I've got a little dashboard widget on my Sage tab that just shows me all of my customers and the current status of their credit. My data is awful, and this ABC Aerospace owe us nearly 4 million. It's not ideal. I think I might be going bust soon, but obviously with real data that will make a lot of sense, hopefully, and you'll be able to see problematic customers, maybe things you want to be chasing up on, but also just get an idea of the picture, and you'll know, you'll be able to improve your customer relationship, I think, with this kind of information available in the system. Just to recap on that, I mentioned about accounts people. So accounts person will have an option on here, look up all customer balances in Sage 50. That will connect to Sage, grab everything, update everything. But also they have this checkbox option to say run automatically when Tricorn starts up. So every day they log in, just gets everything and then shares it with someone else who's looking at the dashboard without access to Sage themselves. We're hoping to extend that to other accounts packages in the future. So QuickBooks, I think, is next on the list. And that is about everything from me. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, we're just ahead of schedule, or we've got 3 minutes left. So if anyone's got any questions, they can type it now. If not, we'll obviously be able to get in touch with either myself or Carl, and we'll be able to answer any questions for you. We will send out the survey afterwards. It has been edited so that you can select if you'd like to help us test some of these new developments in the system as well. So we'll just give it a minute and see if anyone's got any questions to type through. If not, we can end it, and then obviously we'll send the survey out for everyone.
It took longer than I thought to go through all that. Sorry, everyone, if I was waffling.
You did a very good job, John.
Say that now.
No, I don't think we're going to get any questions coming through. No one's typing anything. So, oh no, someone is typing.
Thanks, everyone, for asking not too many difficult questions.
Oh, okay. So, yes, Lynn, I can do that for you. No problem at all. Lynn from Sheldon's just asked to send through a copy of the presentation to Howard after the call, which we will do that for you.
Thanks, Lynn.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, so if there's no more questions, we'll end the session there.